Hello. Evening is coming. Long shadows are cast over all the objects, and everything flows very calmly and goes towards going to bed and sleeping and dreaming with Mindswap may continue for a little while, because we have discussed, we have read the beginning of it all, how entertaining it has all begun. But why do I advise this book so much to my friends, to people I know very well? That is because I have got this very peculiar feeling about it. I think I had already told, but it's okay to say it again, because it is very true for this book. The very peculiar feeling is that you may think that this action in this book, one action that the main character takes, it's really crazy. Well, there will be nothing more crazy than that. But the next action he does, or the next action happening, is a lot crazier than the one before. That is what I love about this book, that it makes it, the crazy, weird, absolutely unpredictable. You cannot just, come on. You could not imagine the world Sheckley built. And you cannot possibly imagine what can happen the next moment. That's why I really love it so much. I enjoy reading it all the time. I enjoy remembering it, because every other step taken is more crazy. It's more unpredictable, and it's more hilarious. Truly hilarious. So that's why I have chosen 3 moments from different parts of the book. Look here. They are one from the beginning, one from the middle, and one from the end. To see how, for you people, to see how different, in a how different situation you may find yourself just turning the page of this book. It took me quite a while thinking, so I tried to choose it carefully, not to spoil anything, but to first of all to take a peculiar moment, and to take an important moment for you to understand this book. The first passage will be for you to understand the steps in this book better. Look here. Prepare. What else is there? Marvin said. Nothing to speak of, just paperwork. He is in the Mindswap office. Nothing to speak of, just paperwork, waivers of special rights and immunities, that sort of thing. And of course, I must give you the standard warning about metaphoric deformation. All right, Marvin said. I'd like to hear it. I just gave it, Blanders said. But I'll give it again. Watch out for metaphoric deformation. I'd be glad to, Marvin said, but I don't know what it is, as we all are. It's really quite simple, Blanders said. You might consider it a form of situational insanity. I think the word insanity just the fittest one to to say about this old piece of literary work. That's the attraction of insanity, indeed. You see, our ability to assimilate is unusual. To assimilate the unusual is limited, and these limits are quickly reached and suppressed when we travel to alien planets. They experience too much novelty. It becomes unbearable, and the mind seeks relief through the buffering process of analogizing. Analogy assures us that this is like that. It forms a bridge between the accepted known and the unacceptable unknown. Well, it does seem like describing our own reality also. That is, if I'm not mistaken, and usually talking about my field of activities, I'm not mistaken, but the analogy method works in education just fine, because when we face a problem, when we need to make a choice, that is the basic thing, to remember our past experiences and try to create analogy with something in the past and see how we reacted and form our response in this situation. It was said to me also in the university that if our brain treated every situation uniquely, it would be too much for him. So our brain, as I always tell my students, is a lazy bastard. I'm sorry, but it is the main energy spender in our body. So his processes are shaped to save most of the energy of our body and save his energy too, because, well, as we know, the more energy you waste and spend, the less we have in our bodies, and we need to take it from food and rest, from water, from air. So it is very hard to gain. So our mind tries to somehow save it. So analogy is the energy saving method. So it's like here, it's like this here. It's very natural indeed. Well, it attaches the one to the other, imbuing the intolerable unknown with the desirable familiarity. However, under continued and unremitting impact of the unknown, even the analogizing faculty can become distorted. Unable to handle the flood of data by the normal process of conceptual analogizing, the subject becomes the victim of perceptual analogizing. This state is what we call metaphoric deformation. So, I won't spoil. Just wanted you to know that every term you see in the book in the beginning will eventually turn up towards the end. Next one. Oh, yes. I cannot say where and when, but I can say our main character, Marvin, he encountered a female. Let's see. I love this description, really. Marvin perceived how fair she was. A small woman, coming barely to his upper thorax, she was exquisitely made. Her mid-body had the true sweet cylinder curves, and her proud head set lightly forward of her body at a heart-wrenching 5 degrees from the vertical. Her features were perfection, from nicely bulged forehead to the angular sweep of her jaw. Her twin ovipositors were modestly hidden behind a white satin sash cut in princess style and revealing just a tantalizing suggestion of the shining green flesh beneath them. Her legs, all of them, were clad in orange windings, draped to reveal the lissome segmentation of the joints. Well, the picture you could see in your eye of mind could not be very much of a human, and you are right. It is definitely not very human, but this description was so nice. Like her fur was exquisite, and her fangs here and there looked so tantalizing. That's why I particularly enjoyed this description. I think it has something to do with metaphoric. Whatever. And the last one. By a clever ruse, Marvin and his compatriots were able to elude the pursuing dragoons and to come unscathed into the great mollated tilt yard of the Castlegate. There, upon the sounding of the 12th hour, the conspirators were to assemble, make final dispositions, and move out that very night for the audacious attempt to rescue D'Augustine from formidable grasp of blackamoor. Marvin retired to his chambers in the high east wing, and there shocked his page by insisting upon a basin of water in which to wash his hands. It was considered a strange affectation on his part in that age in which even the greatest court ladies were accustomed to hide smudges of dirt under perfumed gauze bandages, but Marvin had picked up the custom during his stay among the gay and pagan Tescas of the southern Remoeve. French, I think, whose soapy fountains and spongy sculpture were wonders of wonders to the complacent and grimy northern nobility. And in spite of the laughter of the peers and frowns of the clergy, Marvin stubbornly insisted that an occasional scrub of the hands did no damage so long as the water touched no other part. This is a very peculiar passage for me, because until then I didn't register so many French words, Middle Age terms, and or Renaissance or something from the history. Because, come on, court ladies, chambers, compatriots, I don't know what else. Court ladies, I said, perfumed gauze, and everything takes us to the atmosphere of Middle Ages, and how he's doing space exploration. But no, I said no. I told you no spoilers. I don't want you to spoil the building up absolute craziness of everything happening, and in 15 pages or so it will reach its climax. You will really enjoy it if you read it. That would be just awesome. And well, this is like this Mindswap book, it's like Russian rides or something, but I had a similar feeling reading a book, but with a more classic and more serious piece of literary work, when towards the very end, at the very end, there was such a twist, you were like physically shaken. You didn't expect it absolutely at all. And this physical shake I experienced when I was finishing A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. The last, well, all the book, all through the book, it was really very calm and steady, and you could possibly predict there's something. Some events after another, and everything was natural, but the last chapter was absolutely standing out, and it got a very different kind of narration, absolutely different atmosphere, and the shocking events that came one after another, and you could not take a breath. And it suddenly everything finished so fast, and you just said, what happens? It left you alone with this horrible twist. That was a real shake. And here in this, all the weirdness, all the insanity was building up, and then the small twist, well, you thought they were not small, but they were absolutely small, tiny, compared to this final one, which just takes you away. So, good luck. Have fun with the book.